Hello, I'm Kelly Dwyer, founder of Nature Education Opportunities. Have you and your students ever wonder what happens to all of the leaves which accumulate on the forest floor every fall? This inquiry-based question can lead to some excellent science activities, some creating hypothesis and collecting data, and also using sensory engagement. It's always best to pre-scout an area that you're thinking about conducting this particular activity ahead of time to make sure that there's ample space, as well as the lack of any poison ivy or any other potential challenges. And then gather some equipment ahead of time to make it really an enjoyable experience. I use either hula hoops, plastic hula hoops that are great investigation areas for groups of 3 students, or even a less expensive and easier to manage option are some yarn loops. And I do have a video on the YouTube channel on how you can create these and other activities that center around this. So what you'll do is you will also have a leaf litter investigation sheet, because again, the kids are going to be scientists outside collecting data, making those observations. I do have one on my website under the resource section in the downloadable section. It's called the leaf litter investigation sheet. So have things like that, pencils, clipboards, so that you have a sturdy surface for the kids to write on. And then what you'll also do is have large sort of dish tubs or plastic containers. I have really good luck getting them at any of the dollar stores. They're inexpensive, sturdy, and they make great contained stations for this activity, as well as many other things you can do in your classroom. So in the woods, you'll want to establish really clear boundaries for the kids so that they can go off the trail. I would encourage that, because many trails are quite packed down and it makes it difficult to investigate what's happening under the layer of the leaves. And then have them set up the hula hoops or the yarn loops as they pick their station. And then what they'll do first, and actually as an instructor, you might want to put together your own little guide for them. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to be looking down through 3 distinct layers within their hoops to find out what happens to those freshly fallen leaves. I have an example here. So in the first layer, they'll want to put leaves in their tub, use the hand lens to see what's going on. Can they notice little rips or tears in the leaves? Are there insects stuck there? And then record the different textures and smells that they notice there. Once they get through that layer, have them continue to dig down gently. I would emphasize gently, with either their fingers if they're comfortable, or plastic spoons that you have on hand. So you'll notice that things are looking like they're decomposing a little bit. Make those same observations on the data sheet using that same sort of process of feeling, smelling, looking at the leaves closely with either their bare eye or the magnifying lens. And then finally that 3rd layer, as they move down through, this is only about maybe 2 inches below the surface, not too deep. And they can actually see that the composition, the color, the texture is very different in this layer. So once you have them go through all 3 layers, and it should only take maybe 10 minutes to do this component of the activity, then have them do a group share. What did they notice? Using that really colorful, descriptive language. I like to encourage kids to take a smell. What does it smell like? What does it remind you of? Use that sense of smell, which often isn't something we use outside. So try to, again, have sensory engagement with this. Have them revisit any hypothesis that they may have made before you even headed outside. What does happen to all of those leaves in the woods? Why don't they build up year after year? And by the way, it is a process of decomposition for about 7 years, from when a leaf will fall this fall until it becomes the soil. And you could even emphasize too that as these leaves break down, they leach those nutrients back into the soil right near the tree root. So it's just like taking your vitamin every day. It's kind of nice to do this with kids that are about 7 years old. It's amazing to think that when they were babies and leaves fell that year, it is now soil as they're the 7-year-olds. So one thing that you can do if foul weather kind of makes your plans have to be rethought, you can do this activity inside, or if you are in an area where there really isn't a viable wooded spot near your school, what you would just have to do ahead of time is make tubs with each of the 3 components. So you would have a tub, for example, filled with all of the first layer, the second layer, and the 3rd layer. And then aluminum pie plates work really well for the different investigation stations that the kids can, again, have 3 or 4 kids or pairs, depending on the amount of students, per investigation station. So same thing, you're going to give the data sheets, and then you will distribute a clump of the first layer into their tubs and let them look at that thoroughly, and then go around and put the second layer and then subsequently the third layer. So you're doing the same type of sequencing, just inside. And then one thing that you could do with creative writing after this is have the kids really use those adjectives, the descriptive writing, so that they can have other children that may not have participated in the activity imagine what these particular layers look like. So one thing that it's nice to do too is to try to identify what leaves that they're looking at. These right here that I have in my tub are all maple leaves. So there's another opportunity to do some investigation with forest ecology right there. So have fun exploring the leaf litter investigations, whether it's out in the woods near your school or if it's looking at them inside. Both of them are really a rich activity, so I would encourage you to try to do this before the snow falls and then the leaves are covered up for the year. So have fun and take care.